All right, let's go. Other people can just jump on whenever they're ready. So, hi everybody. I'm Petrina Fava, and this is Introduction to Access Consciousness, my very first call ever. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for listening if you're listening to this in the future. So I wanted to do this call to actually just to push myself out of my comfort zone, to be honest with you. It's been my awareness to create a telecall for a long time, and I've been a little bit nervous about doing it. So recently I've been just really pushing myself out of my comfort zone a lot. So I just chose to do this the other day and posted it up, and here I am. So if I'm going to talk a little bit about what access consciousness is and what the bars are. So everyone is on mute right now, so if you wish to ask a question, you can interrupt me anytime. Just press *6 to unmute yourself. And you can ask a question or talk about what access has been for you if you know a little bit about access already. So basically, access consciousness is a modality, I guess you can call it, or a philosophy that has a whole bunch of different aspects to it. It has some hands-on processes, so some things that you do with your hands on the body, and it has this other part of it that is a bunch of tools that you can use to create change in your life and any aspect of your life at all. So if you have stuff going on around money, if you have stuff going on around family or business or sex or relationships or anything at all, these tools that are available to you, you can use them at any moment in your life to change anything that's going on. And the main tool, I'll get started with the tools first, and then we can talk a little bit about the bars. But the main tool, really, is this thing called asking a question. And it sounds really simple, right? But it's asking a question in a different way than most of us have learned. So, when you were a kid, how much did you learn that the point of asking a question is to get an answer? And not just an answer, right? You had to get the right answer. So, you went to school, you learned that you had some questions and you had to come up with the right answer to your question. So asking a question the way access consciousness talks about asking a question is really different from that. We're talking about asking a question in order to gain awareness and not to get an answer. And so we do that because the idea is that an answer is actually very much a limitation and a closed door. It's a conclusion. And a lot of times, what I've noticed even for myself is that when I go to ask a question, sometimes I already have a conclusion in place that I think I already know the answer. So a lot of times you already have the answer or the conclusion of what the answer is supposed to be before you even ask the question. So the idea is that an answer is very much a limitation and closes doors of possibilities, whereas when you ask a question, all these doors of possibilities begin to open. You can see multiple possibilities, and sometimes there are possibilities that exist that you can't even imagine yet. So that asking a question, or sometimes we even say being in the question, is one of the main tools in Access Consciousness that you can use to start changing stuff that's going on for you in your life. So from there, I'll go a little bit into how I learned about Access and this idea of asking questions. So about 6 years ago, I think now, I had always kind of had this awareness that I was a little bit different from a lot of people and maybe even a little bit weird. And I really was always really interested in energy work, things outside of this reality, like just, the spiritual world, entities, always kind of really interested in weird stuff like that. I learned Reiki along with my brother and my sister-in-law. Actually, before that, my younger brother was learning about holistic nutrition, and he was taking some kind of course where he was learning about some kind of energy modality. I don't know what it was. And, knowing that I was the other weirdo in the family, he said to me, "Hey, I learned this really cool stuff. Can I try it on you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so he did, and it was cool for me. I could perceive the energy. I could perceive like heat and tingling in his hands and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And for me, I remember that as one of the pivotal moments of like, "Oh, okay, I want to know some more." And so then I learned Reiki, and that was really super cool. And at the same time, right after that, I also started to read about like The Secret, Law of Attraction, manifesting stuff in your life. And so I did like a little class about manifesting. And then something happened right before that. So at that point, I have 3 kids now. I had my 2 daughters, and my husband and I were planning on having a third. And right after I learned Reiki and right before my manifesting course, which was like, I think a week apart or something like that, I was pregnant and I had a miscarriage at about 9.5 weeks. I was super, super devastated. This was something that I was like not in my world. I had 2 really awesome pregnancies, easy pregnancies. I had no trouble getting pregnant. My labor and deliveries were both awesome. I had 2 beautiful, healthy children. Like, this was not a part of my life where I had any issues. Generally, my health was good. Having this miscarriage actually really slapped me upside the head. And I was kind of shaken up because I was starting to learn about energy and starting to, learn about manifesting and all of this stuff. And I was like, what the hell is this? Well, wait a second. This is not in my plan. This is not how it's supposed to happen. I am, creating this. What's going on here? Anyways, had a miscarriage. My brother went to Korea to change his life. He had been going through some stuff as well. He kind of just recognized that he needed to change. Went to Korea and actually learned about Access and the bars there. And he called me one day and he was like, "Hey, I learned this really cool stuff. I can't wait to try it on you when I come back next year. Can I tell you a little bit about it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And this was like months down the line. I was trying to get pregnant again, couldn't get pregnant. Months and months and months went by, really distressed about still not being able to get pregnant. And he introduced this concept to me of asking a question, because I was talking to him about like, "Oh, I'm really disappointed. Like, I still can't seem to get pregnant. I don't know what's going on." And he introduced this concept to me about asking a question. And he said, "So have you asked your body if it would like to have another baby?" And I went, "What? Like, what are you talking about? Have you asked your body if your body would like to have another baby?" And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing this manifesting course, and I read The Secret, and like, I can manifest anything I want to, and I want to have another baby, and it's going to happen." And he was kind of like, "Okay, what if you could be in the question?" So he started to talk to me about being in the question, and why don't you just ask? Like, why don't you just ask your body, ask your body, ask your body? And so I kind of played with it for a little while, and I remember at one point I said to him, you know what, I'm just really pissed off at my body right now, and I felt really betrayed by my body, and I said it out loud, I feel really betrayed by my body, and I'm so pissed off that this is not happening, and I'm just pissed off at my body. And he said to me, wow, do you think it would be easy for you and your body to create a life with you being in that energy of, I hate my body and I feel so betrayed by my body right now. And it was one of those things, one of those moments that like really turned things around for me, because I kind of, again, felt like I got slapped in the head, and I kind of went, oh my God, yeah, hello, I feel betrayed by my body, I hate my body, and then I'm trying to create life. So then he asked me, okay, Petrina, so you want to have another baby. What if you would be willing to not have another child? Like, what if you would be willing to just have your two, and not have another one? And I hated it when he asked me that. And my initial reaction was like, no, this is not, I am going to manifest this. Like, I'm having another baby and that's it. But there was something in that I went, okay, let me see. And so I started to play with it for a little bit, and I kind of went, okay, like, what if I don't have another baby? What if I just have my two beautiful girls and I'm grateful for them, and, you know, what if I don't? What if I don't? And I really sat with it, and I sat with the willingness to not have another baby, and within 2 weeks I was pregnant. And then it still brings up tears for me even now, because I remember that happened and I went, holy crap, okay. And I said to my brother, okay, I want to know more now. So for me, that willingness to drop the expectation and the willingness to not have what I was pushing so hard on my body, you know, changed things for me. So that was kind of my introduction to Access. And from there, he came back to Toronto to visit. About a year later, I was very pregnant with my son at that time, and he ran my bars. I actually learned the bars, so he was a facilitator, so he taught me my first bars class together with my sister-in-law. So the two of us ran bars on each other, and we learned how to run bars. And then he introduced me to the basic concepts of Access and the tools. And then he went back to Korea. And when I began to use the tools, I began to ask questions and use some of the tools, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And I actually used them during my labor. The mantra of Access is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and glory. And I remember, like, during my labor, I could not remember a lot of the stuff that he talked about, but I kind of just kept pulling that one out. And my labor was much easier than my other two, in the sense that, like, it was still long, it was 13 hours, I still had a lot of pain, but I was more at ease. So anytime anything happened that I would have previously freaked out about, so like my contractions slowed down, they talked about starting Pitocin, all these things, I kind of was able to be in this space of just allowance and just allowance and ease. Had a kind of knowing that things were going to just work out okay. So that's my little story about how I got introduced to this cool, wacky stuff. So go back to that thing of asking questions. So the idea is that if you ask a question, the question is empowering, it opens doors, it opens possibilities, and then when you go and you get an answer or you look for an answer, the doors start to close. Okay, so some of the questions that we like to play with in Access are, what else is possible? And the other really cool one is, how does it get any better than this? So let's say you wake up one morning and you're having a really bad hair day, and you wake up and you get out of your bed and you slam your toe on the dresser beside you, and then you get up and you spill your coffee on your really important papers, and then you get in your car and your car runs out of gas or there's lots of traffic. So how many conclusions do you make, right, in those few moments? Like, wow, my day is already starting horribly. This is going to be a crappy day. Oh, it's going to be one of those days. It's going to be one of those days. It's going to be one of those days. And so then what do you create, right? What do you continue to create? So if you asked a question, so let's say you asked, okay, how does it get any better than this? You could start to see some possibilities. So if you're on the road and there's a ton of traffic in front of you, if you ask the question, how does it get any better than this? You might have some awareness of, oh, I think I took that road a while ago. Let me drive down that way and see what happens. So possibilities start to open up in front of you. What else is possible is a really easy one that you can use as well. Okay, if this doesn't work for me, what else is possible? So those are just some examples of some really easy questions that are kind of part of the basis of the philosophy of access consciousness. So what else would you guys like to know? Let's talk a little bit about the bars. So the bars is one of the hands-on processes. It's the main hands-on process in access. 32 points on the head that we call the bars, that are all connected to different parts of our life. So there's a bar, for example, for money, and there's a bar for hopes and dreams. There's a bar for body and sexuality. And the idea is that in all of these 32 points on the head, we store all of our junk around those particular parts of our life. So all of our beliefs about money are stored in the money bar. So things like, money doesn't grow on trees, you have to work hard to earn money, or, rich people are mean, or anything like that. All of those beliefs that we have bought over our lives are stored in all these places. When the bars are run, so we say running the bars, so basically what happens is the person who's running your bars touches the bar with their fingers on each side of the head, and the bar is run. So you can call the name of the bar, and the idea is when the bar is run, the limitations that are held there start to get destroyed, start to fall off. So it's kind of like when you hit delete on your computer. So you're just holding the bar for any amount of time, and the limitations that are stored there start to just fall off. Usually a bars session lasts about an hour to an hour and a half. So what happens is you lie down on a massage table or a chair, and the bars practitioner touches the points on your head over the course of the hour and a half. If you're receiving bars, basically all you're doing is lying on the table and receiving the bars. Sometimes people fall asleep during bars. Sometimes people stay awake. It's different for everyone. Everyone experiences something a little bit different. Bars is not something that you get done once and then you kind of just go on. I mean, you can, but the idea is that we have so much junk stored in us, stored in our bodies, stored in our beings, stored in our bars over lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of lifetimes that, usually repeated bars treatments are required. And then also what happens is as you start to do more of this stuff, you start to get more awareness of the junk that's kind of been piled on top of you over your whole entire life. And so when you have your bars, when stuff comes up, it's a good idea to have your bars run, clear away all the crap, and then more stuff comes up, and then clear away some more crap, and then more stuff comes up and clear away some more crap. So that's a really quick overview of bars. We can talk a little bit more about some of the tools of access. We talked about being in the question. Some of the other tools are things like everything is just an interesting point of view. So it's something that you would say to yourself day to day, minute to minute. You look at everything as just an interesting point of view. So there's no right and no wrong way. Everything is just interesting. And the idea is that if you can see everything as just an interesting point of view, then you don't have to align and agree with one side or the other. And when you don't do that, you can have total awareness of what is. We're not usually taught that, right, in this reality. So usually we're taught you have to kind of pick a side. So either you agree with this thing or you don't agree with it and you agree with the other. So either you're for something or you're against it. And what happens is that's a big conclusion. So it's like what we were talking about in the beginning. When you align with something or you agree with something, or when you resist something and you react to something, then you've solidified this conclusion in place. And then you are not able to have awareness of what truly is. So when you use this tool of everything is just an interesting point of view, it allows you to clear the polarity, clear your points of view and your beliefs, and look at something with total awareness. And then from there, you can ask some more questions, like maybe, okay, what's required? And then have some more awareness of what's required for you to choose. I think what I'm going to do is just talk a little bit about some of the things that I really like about Access, or that I really love about Access, and what draws me to Access the most. One of the things that I love about Access Consciousness is that besides the hands-on processes, so besides the bars, and in addition to bars is also a whole bunch of really amazing hands-on body processes, body work that can change stuff that's going on in your body. So besides the hands-on stuff, that is completely awesome, I love the tools, the questions that Access offers, because I don't require anything else to use the tool. So if I'm having a crappy day, or if I'm in a stuck place, or something's going on for me, I don't have to find someone to run my bars. I might, and I would, because that's awesome. But in that 10-second moment, I have a tool always in my pocket, always at my disposal. I can always ask a question. I can always ask, okay, this is not working for me. What else is possible here? I can always go, this is an interesting point of view. My tools are always in my pocket, and I can say them in my mind, and I don't have to say them out loud, and I can use all of them in any second of my life. And I love that, because it's just at my disposal continuously. The other thing I love about Access is that it's ridiculously easy. Like, how does it get any easier than asking, how does it get any better than this, right? Or how does it get any easier than just simply asking, okay, what's required of me right now? What's required right now? Very easy. Everything is super easy. There's nothing complicated about any of the tools. One of the other things, actually, that I really love about Access is that it's really not serious at all. Like at all. So a lot of other modalities are sometimes very serious, very, just really serious. And I love that Access, that we laugh a lot in Access, that we talk about silly things, that there's no point of view about swearing. So if you've ever attended an Access Consciousness class or listened to a call, people are swearing like left, right, and center. And there's something about that really is attractive for me, the ability to just not have a point of view about what words I have to use, or be so self-conscious about the words that I have to say things in a certain way. So I love the fact that Access is funny and it's silly, and that we laugh a lot, and that sometimes the things that we say or do or be are just completely ridiculous and not your typical spiritual type of things, and I love that. What else do I love about Access? Another thing that I love about Access, and one of the tools is, one of the questions is, what if you're not wrong? What if nothing you've ever done or been is wrong? So no right or wrong way, no polarity, right? So that means that nothing that you choose is wrong. And also, nothing that you choose is right. It's just a choice. And then once you choose it, you could go, that worked. And how does it get better than that? Or you could choose it and go, okay, that didn't work. What can I choose now? So yeah, there's nothing, I'm not wrong. And I don't know about you guys, but I've spent a lot of my life convinced that I was really wrong and really wrong in a lot of ways. And so when I heard, what if nothing about you has ever been wrong? And even, there's another really cool question that takes it even a step further, is what if actually everything you think is wrong about you is actually the thing that is the most strong about you? So what if all those things that you think are a limitation or that are just the most wrong thing ever, what if that is actually your strongness? So I love that. I love that nothing about me is wrong. I have really started to look at dropping all of my judgments of myself. It's pretty awesome. I love that Access is all about me. It's really empowering. There's no, one of the taglines of Access is empowering you to know that you know. So Access is not an answer. So if you're coming to Access looking for it to be the thing that's going to change your life, it's not, because it's not an answer. Access is about showing you how to access what you know, empowering you to know that you know. So the founder of Access, Gary Douglas, never claims to be, a guru, or never claims to be the person who knows everything about everything. A lot of times, you will ask a question, and a facilitator, someone will ask you, what do you know? What do you know about that? So I love that about Access, that Access will always encourage you to look at what you know, because you are you, and your life is your life, so what do you know? And that's very empowering. It's very empowering, and it puts the choice in my hands. Everything is my choice. The other thing I really, really, really love about Access is that I don't have to be at the effect of anything. If everything is just an interesting point of view, then nothing can have control over me. And if I create my life, then I don't have to be at the effect of anything. I always have a choice. So all kinds of things could be happening around me, but at the end of the day, what do I choose? What am I choosing? I can use the tools. Everything is just an interesting point of view, and some of the other questions to get out of that stuckness that sometimes we perceive around us. Nothing happens to me. I create everything, and therefore I can choose to create something different. I like that. It's in my hands. I don't have to wait for somebody else. I don't have to cry because my life is happening to me. Nothing happens to me. I create my life. What can I create now? I also like that Access doesn't make any other modality or any other thing that you're doing wrong. One of the ways that we define consciousness in Access is that consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. So everything is included. You are often encouraged to do whatever works for you. Access never claims to be the way or the answer, and it's up to you to use what works, even within Access, even within the tools, even within the questions. If something doesn't work for you, cool. You don't have to use it. If something works for you, awesome. If there's something else in your life that you're doing that's working for you, awesome. Use it too. And I like that a lot about Access. So I wonder if anybody has any questions. Maybe I can talk a little bit about, I wonder if anyone has any questions. You can take yourself off mute by pressing *6. I know I'm talking a lot. Okay, no questions. I'll keep talking. Great. I can talk. What I'm going to do is I'll talk a little bit about how I've been using Access in my own life and what I've been creating with some of the tools. So I already talked about my first experience with Access and kind of changing the way I saw what was happening with my body with the miscarriage, and then creating something different after that. So I talked about that already. I've really changed the way I have created my business. So before I learned about Access, I was I'm a registered nurse, and I created a business teaching baby massage classes. And I had been running these baby massage classes for, I think, about a year and a half, maybe more, maybe 2 years. And I was starting to get a little bit bored with it, and I was starting to not have people come to my classes. And I was listening to some telecalls, taking some Access classes about business, and we were talking a lot about your business as its own entity, and what if you could actually ask your business what it would like to be, what's required, where should you put your energy. And so I started to do that. So I started to look, and I was actually very aware of my business as its own entity, as an energy in and of itself, because I had an awareness of what I would have liked my business to be, and wasn't exactly what was showing up. So I started to ask, what else can I add to my business, which was really different for me because I was getting a lot of people saying to me, you're doing too much. You're a mom of 3 and you have this job. Why are you also now adding this to your life? So I think initially I probably would have looked at what things can I take away from my life in order to manage this better. But I learned with the Access tools that you could ask, what can I add to my life that would make this easier? And because I was getting a little bit bored with my infant massage classes, I think previously would have been like, forget it, I'm stopping. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I started to ask, what else can I add to my business? What else can I add to my business? What else can I add to my business? And not, of course, getting any real answers. And the awarenesses, in my point of view, were not showing up right away. And then many months later, I came upon a workshop that was being offered through like a mommy group that I belong to, that was about how to make massage oils. And I went, oh, that would be kind of cool to add to my infant massage business. Like, many parents were asking about, oils that they could use. I was giving them just straight grapeseed oil, and some people were asking me to recommend commercial oils that were scented and all this stuff, and I didn't have any knowledge about that. So I went and I took this workshop about how to, mix oils safely for massage and specifically for babies. It was a mom and baby group. And so I took this workshop, and it was just like a couple hours long, and we made some oils, but we also made something that we called a boo-boo balm, which is just like a healing balm that you could put on an infant's skin. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. This is kind of fun. And I took these things home, and I put them on my own body, and I was like, oh, they smell nice and all this stuff. And now, so I didn't have much of a point of view before that about using only natural products on my skin. I didn't really have any allergies. My kids didn't have any allergies. There was no real reason for me to start looking at making my own body products. So I did that. I played with it for a little bit, and then I saw that this woman who did these workshops offered another workshop about how to create sunscreen. And so I thought, I would like to try that. I kind of had heard some things about a lot of chemicals in sunscreen, and so I thought, oh, wow, like sunscreen, I can make my own sunscreen, and it kind of piqued my interest, so I went and I chose it, and I attended it, and so I learned that, and then at the same time I learned how to make lotion, and all of this kind of, I never, ever, was not something I imagined previously. I just kind of did it because it was fun, and I created these really nice, this nice body lotion and this really cool sunscreen. And I went home and I put it on my body, and I really was like, my body really actually went, oh, I really like that. It felt different than how other things I had put on my body felt. So I just continued to do it purely for myself and for my family. And then people started to ask me if I would sell it. And so I started to, first I started to give it to people, and then I started to sell it. And basically, to make a long story short, I now have a business where I create a whole line of body products. And I never would have imagined that I would have created that. So that was part of asking, my business, what would you like to look like? How would you like to be created? What can I add to my business? From there, I took a workshop to teach kids yoga. So again, another thing that kind of just, appeared, apparently just appeared, but that I created. And I took this workshop to teach kids yoga, and I added that to my repertoire of classes. And then just recently I found a kind of dance class that I went to and that my body really enjoyed and that I really enjoyed. And before I knew it, there was a training workshop being offered, and so I took it. And then just this past weekend, I took another workshop to teach this dance to kids. And so now I've added those classes to my business. So my business grew in ways that I never would have imagined, and it grew because I was asking, what can I add? What can I add? What can I add to my business? So that's been, and then of course all my access classes that I teach bars, and I also teach body classes. So yeah, so that's something that has really changed for me, and that has grown enormously for me by using the access tools, and that's been really fun. The other thing that has really changed for me is the way I parent. Still looking at this a lot of stuff still comes up in my universe around parenting, but I can give you an example. A few years ago, I've always had like a big fear in my world around my children. And a couple of years ago, my daughter, who was I think 8 or 9 at the time, went to a summer camp. And I didn't know when I signed her up that at the summer camp there was going to be like excursions involved. And one of the excursions was that they were going to Center Island in Toronto. So if any of you don't know it, it's downtown. You have to take a ferry across the lake and go to an island, and then you take a ferry back. And so this came up, and I went, oh, my 8-year-old is going to go with a bunch of 16-year-olds without me for the first time ever on a bus, and like in a ferry that could sink, and to a big overpopulated island where there's like all kinds of chaos. And so this started to come up for me, and I started to use the tools, and I started to tap into my awareness, and I started to ask questions. So, if I choose this, if I choose to let her go, will she have fun? And I was getting yes. It felt light. It felt expansive. I was getting yes. Will she be okay? Will she get lost? Will she? So I asked a whole bunch of questions, and I chose to let her go. And I remember the morning of the trip, she was excited. I actually asked her, Isabel, if you go on this trip, will you get lost? Will you get hurt? Tapping into my child's awareness as well, because in case any of you have children or work with children, they have incredible awareness because they don't have a lot of the barriers that we do. But that's a whole other conversation. So I asked her, and I chose to let her go. And then the morning of the trip, I dropped her off, I came home, and I called my mom. And my mom said to me, "Oh, I can't believe you let her go. Like, are you crazy? Is she, what if she gets hurt? What if this? What if she gets lost? All those people there." And I actually could see, not with my eyes, but I could energetically see where I actually tried to go to recreate the fear, and I couldn't. It wasn't there. It's really a hard thing to describe, to put into words, but I actually energetically could see where I was trying to recreate fear, but there was nothing there. There was no energy. I just knew I actually was not afraid anymore. I had no fear in my universe. It was just not there, even though I tried to recreate it, which I thought was kind of funny. So that energy comes up for me in my life a lot, where now I see where previously I had a really big point of view about something, or I had a big fear about something, and I go and I look at it and it's not there. And sometimes I even try and create it because I'm cute, but it's not there. So there's things that have just changed without me cognitively trying to change them. So having my bars run, asking questions, using the tools, have enabled some things to just kind of fall out of my reality. It's awesome. How does it get any easier than that, right? Like, you just go and it's just not even there anymore. So that's one of the other really cool things that has been going on for me. The other thing is, too, that I've been able to attend. I had the point of view when I started Access that my son was, like I said, I was pregnant when I first got introduced to it, so I had a young baby at home with 2 other children. So I had taken my first class. My brother, did the class in my house, came to me. It was easy. And then in order to become a bars facilitator, so in order to teach bars, you need to take 3 different classes with 3 different facilitators. And I remember thinking, yeah, okay, that's not going to happen. Like, I can't, take another 8-hour class. I have an infant, I'm breastfeeding, like, I have 2 other children. I wasn't willing to let them stay home all day with my husband. It was just not happening. And so I started to ask some questions. And when I started to consider the possibility of teaching bars, because I love to teach, I started to ask some questions, and possibilities started to open up. So another class came up, and I pushed past my comfort zone. I left my son, who was a few months old, with my mother, I think, at the time. I was breastfeeding, but I pumped. It was extremely uncomfortable, but I knew that I wanted to do it, and so I pushed, and it passed the discomfort, and I chose the class. And then after that, some things happened. I went into a lot of judgment about how things went that day for my son. I was really stressed out, and I thought, I'm not doing that again. I'm not going to stay away from him for that long again. But then I started to ask some questions, and, okay, so what else is possible? What's the possibility of me taking another class sometime, whenever? And then this class, again, just seemed to apparently fall into my lap. A woman who was teaching a bars class over 2 evenings. So usually bars classes are 8 hours long during the day. So she was teaching a bars class about 15 minutes from where I live over the course of 2 evenings. So a 4-hour block at night, and then a 4-hour block the next night. At 8 o'clock, all of my kids are in bed by then, no issues. I went, wow, yeah, I can choose this. This works for me. And so I did. And I looked at it and I went, a few months ago I never would have even considered that was possible, and here it is. And then that's continued to happen for me. So I've continued to ask questions about classes. I've had a bunch of points of view about classes that I have not previously thought I would be able to take because they're expensive, or because I wouldn't have been able to leave my children or anything like that. And then actually this past weekend, I chose to go to the advanced body class with Gary Douglas in Vancouver. So another humongous choice for me. So never I would have imagined that I would choose something like that. Very uncomfortable. Left my kids with my husband for 5 days. It actually turned out to be way easier than I could have ever imagined. He was very happy to see me go. He was very happy to take care of the kids. It turned out to be totally amazing. So things that I previously would have never, ever considered to be possible have shown up. And have shown up for me because I've just been asking questions about it and waiting for awareness and waiting to see what shows up and following the energy. So those are just some examples of what have occurred for me in my life and how I've used the tools of Access to change my life. So if you have any questions, I can take them now. What else do you guys want to know about the bars? Bars classes, so if you're interested in receiving a bars treatment, you can we have a couple of Toronto specific pages. So you can go, if you're on Facebook, we have a page called Access the Bars Energy Work Toronto. And there are many, 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 many other Facebook pages that are access related. You can search and join any of those. We also have a group on meetup.com. So Meetup is a worldwide site with a whole bunch of interest groups that you can join. And so there are a few Access Consciousness meetup groups. Our meetup group, the one that I run here for people in Toronto, is called Access Consciousness /bars in capitals Toronto. So if you're interested in joining it, we would love to have you. You can go to www.meetup.com. It's free to join Meetup, and then you just search Access Consciousness Bars Toronto, and you can join our Meetup group, and we post different classes there. You can also look, so that's mostly for classes. If you are interested in receiving a bars treatment, you can contact me, of course. My website is www.petrinafava.com. It's actually just being recreated. And or you can contact me at 416-268-6333. Or you can go to the Access Consciousness website and search for practitioners there. So it's www.accessconsciousness.com, and you can search for bars practitioners who are available to run your bars, or you can search for bars facilitators who are teaching bars classes. So if you would like to learn how to run bars. I think that's it. I thank you very much for joining me on this call today. I hope you have a little bit more information about what Access Consciousness is. If you have questions, you can contact me anytime. Again, my telephone number is 416-268-6333. You can find me at www.petrinafava.com, or you can email me at Fava, FAVAPJI @yahoo.ca. So, thank you for joining me, and I will leave you with a really great big what else is possible for you and your life. Thanks for joining me. Bye, everyone.